So as you know, Creed Willems, when I talked to him, I asked him like, oh, like, do you look up to Adley? Has Adley gave you any advice? So I want to ask you, like, in that site, has Kevin Brown gave you any good advice, any good stories with him?
Yeah, yeah. So Kevin has been a really great resource for me over the last couple years. So I actually met Kevin in June of 2022, and at the time I was working for the sports broadcasting camp that I used to go to as a camper, and I've gotten a chance to do some work for them over the years as a counselor and teach broadcasting, kind of a full circle thing for me. But at the time, it had been almost 3 years since I had called games in professional baseball. You know, the pandemic wiped a year out. The next year after that, I just didn't get any offers. And then, 2022, I got an offer, accepted a position, and it just turned out to be a really bad situation. I was misled and kind of taken advantage of even before the season started. So I backed away. I was dealing with some mental health stuff at the time, and I knew I just had to get out of it. But I was down bad for like a good 2 full months before I started to turn things around. And at the time that I started to turn around and start feeling better about myself and where I was headed, is when I met Kevin at this camp, and he was a guest speaker. And afterwards, I pulled him aside and introduced myself. And I was just looking for someone to listen. That was the biggest thing, to somebody in a position like his, a major league broadcaster, to hear what I had been through and what my career goals are. And I told him straight up, I'm like, hey, this is this situation that I was dealt this year. I'm struggling with my mental health. I just need some advice and guidance and somebody to listen. And Kevin, I'll always be grateful that he did. He listened, he heard me out, and he validated, the way I was feeling about things. And Kevin gets it because he spent a lot of years in minor league baseball, and there was a point in his career where he almost quit and hung it up. And somebody convinced him not to. He thought he wasn't good enough or wasn't going to get where he wanted to be. So, he understood where I was coming from, in a lot of different ways. So just the fact that he took the time to listen and talk to me and, become a connection and a resource and honestly a mentor in some ways. I don't know if he knows how much of an impact that he's had on me just from that conversation we had. And a year later, last June of 2023, I was at Camden Yards. The Orioles hosted me to do a demo broadcast there. And, exactly a year later, after meeting Kevin, I had a chance to, talk to him and connect in person again and tell him face to face how much that conversation meant to me. Because, we've exchanged emails over the last couple of years. When I got the gig in Aberdeen, I emailed him and told him about it. And he said, congratulations, I'm thrilled for you. I heard the news a few days ago, which was really cool that he heard the news from somewhere else and not just from me first. But yeah, I think it was such a small conversation. And, Kevin, just by listening to me for 5-10 minutes, didn't think he was changing the trajectory of my career and my life. But, in some ways, I think he did, because that was the first point where I really realized that, hey, I can get through this rough patch. And, if somebody like Kevin Brown, almost quit and didn't give up and made it to the big leagues, and, knows what I'm going through, then, I can get there too. So just forever grateful for that. And, next time I see him and, the times after that, I definitely will not miss an opportunity to tell him that.